Hey, Alex. Fortnights has whipped
Hello.
around again, and we're back. How are you?
Yeah, time flies.
It does.
Good. Crazy
I,
week.
I know you've had
But
a
I
little bit of
recovered from
well, you've not. Yeah,
yeah,
you've had a bit of a cold hanging around, and also you've had a
yeah,
bit of a full afternoon as well, haven't you? Real life got in the way.
yeah. It's just a day in the life of Alex. But yeah, and it hasn't finished yet. I've got to edit 2 videos tonight. So
Two,
yeah,
two.
yeah. The
What
night
you
is
post them
young,
over
as
the
they
weekend,
say.
or
Yeah, I've got quite a busy weekend, so I'm trying to do a little bit more than usual and try to enjoy the weekend and be there present. you know.
because it is your boy's birthday, is it not over the weekend?
Yeah, on tomorrow. So it's gonna be 11 now. So yeah,
Full
but yeah,
on.
like I said, I wanna make sure that I enjoy being there. So I want to get the work out of the way as much as possible today.
Because around our neck of the woods, I think the teachers have been on strike again. Have they? Where you are in the UK?
No, no. Well, they might. His school isn't. Yeah.
So again, I didn't know if that interfered
At
with
least it
real
wasn't
life as
today.
well, having to sort of be at home and take, because that sort of, I know a couple of friends
Yeah.
I've known has really messed things up for them. They're trying to organise cover and, take time off work to be at home. And anyway, realities of.
Yeah.
So what video, well, we'll talk about your videos you've
Exactly.
got coming out at the end, towards the end of the podcast, but let's talk
Yeah.
Samsung. So it seems everybody is doing something Samsung related at the moment. And even I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon myself this weekend. And by the time this goes out, my video might just about be done, but I've gone the other way.
Right.
I'm not switching to Samsung. I'm staying iPhone, but it seems there's a lot of people at the moment. I know
See,
I'm just a sheep.
we can't be friends. We can't be friends.
Oh, in fact, talking of that, I should turn this off because otherwise it's going to go. I always turn this off. Not only for that, because also for in case anything
Good idea.
anything trips in. You can never know what's going to come up from that phone. So, yes.
Right.
So you have made the switch, though, haven't you? And I think on our last podcast, you were saying you'd put your iPhone, or about to put your iPhone up on eBay.
It's currently on eBay. It's about to, yeah. So we maybe 3-4 days now left to go. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. Whatever happens, it's gone. One of the videos I'm making about tomorrow or the weekend is, yeah, it's about the Switch. But another one is about the 13 mini, which is what I'm getting for my watch. Because as much as people say I switched, got to take it with a pinch of salt. In my case, it's exactly that. I can't get rid of my Apple Watch. It's just something that I really enjoy. So, but I found a good way of not feeling so bad for having a massive, expensive iPhone collecting dust just for syncing with the watch. So I got the 13 mini.
Did you already have the mini, or did you buy that just to replace, just
No,
to fill the gap?
Yeah, I just bought that for that.
Because
I never had one, so it's kind of a good for me to try it out as well.
Because I guess really you're only using it as a sort of gateway to the watch, aren't you? You're not using the camera much. You're not using the phone much. It's literally just so you can connect up to the watch.
Yeah, the 13 mini's camera is actually not that bad, really, but that's not what I'm gonna go for. I mean, the S23 Ultra is now my main phone for camera, video, phone calls, team meetings, everything.
And I mean, well, as I say, the very reason that you've had to buy the mini is kind of why I have made the video I'm making, is that I can't really leave. Everything I've got around me just fits in with app. And of course, the center of everything is the phone. So if I lose the iPhone, I'm kind of stuffed on AirPlay, handoff, HomePods, you name it. Everything is, even photos syncing. And I know I could make the switch, but I'm thinking it works. I don't know if I'm missing out anything by not using a Samsung. But
there's a lot of people who, in previous years, people would comment exactly that. So, I'm too far in the ecosystem. And frankly, I'm not sure if the alternative is that much better than the iPhone. And to be honest, I would agree. And last year, I didn't switch. The S22 Ultra for me was horrendous. I had a horrible experience. The Fold 4 was the closest I've been to actually ditching the iPhone, but I was using the Fold 4, and I am using the Fold 4 still a lot more than the iPhone. So this year, though, the comments is different. The comments is from my session, my S23 Ultra videos is about, hang on, how difficult is it to leave the ecosystem? How tricky it really is, because the device is so good that people are seriously considering now. So that's my video this weekend, that say, maybe don't go cold, like a cold turkey, as they say, right? Maybe there's a a happy medium, and maybe the 13 mini or an older iPhone, like this iPhone X or whatever, 10, that might be something that still supports syncing with your watch. You can still do your Apple Music and HomePod Mini setup, or home Apple. A lot of people have home setup as well, right?
So I guess the only pain in the arse is you have to carry around 2 phones all the time, right? If you've got the watch on, you need to carry the phone with you.
As a creator, that's the case anyway. Right? Sometimes I'm carrying 3 phones, right?
Right, yeah.
It's just part of life. But in reality, a lot of people are carrying 2 phones now, from what I can tell anyway.
And the battery life on the Samsung, I mean, that's the one thing that I've mentioned I found not as good on the 14 Pro as I'd hoped, is the battery life. I mean, for a lot of the day, it's just sitting on the desk beside me doing nothing. And it does get through the day, don't get me wrong, but down to, the last 10, 15%, which seems ridiculous when it's sitting doing nothing for a lot of the day, because I'm sitting here.
Is that the 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max?
Just the Pro.
Yeah. Yeah, no, with the Pro Max, to be honest, the battery was never an issue for me.
That's what you're selling, is it? Pro Max?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only battery issue I've had with Apple recently has been with my Apple Watch Ultra. And it's come back, actually, which is really weird. It got fixed for a bit and it's now back. And I haven't actually installed any new apps, nothing. It's just one of those things. It starts to only last literally just over 1 day.
Yeah.
That's not normal for the Ultra anyway.
And you just I think you said you just kind of like almost overnight, didn't you? You just suddenly started to tank for no reason. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm not doing anything different. I did have an issue a couple of weeks ago where the button, I've got the workout button set to the action button.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you might press it by accident. And that's what happened. And, it was on for like 7 hours. So that day I can understand why it did that. But most days I'm only using it as I would normally do it, regularly.
I've kind of was thinking I wouldn't have any need for the Watch Ultra, but if fortunes change this year, and we'll get around to that in a little bit, I think we're going to cover that for sort of the meat of the podcast this week. But I've got a feeling I might get it, not only because it's good content, clearly, but I think that there are reasons that would and I do a fair bit I use it quite heavily. Most days I work out in some way, so I'm monitoring stuff. I wear it through the night every night, so it's monitoring sleep all the time as well. So I think maybe now I've got the first year under my belt of using the watch for an Apple Watch at all. I think now the migration over to a Watch Ultra, I could see the sense of that.
Yeah. I mean, I had no reason to upgrade until the Ultra. I mean, I was using 6, 7, made no sense to me. They were just, the same watch really, but with a new sensor.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, the apps were the same, still the same screen almost. So, but the Ultra made a massive difference the screen alone transformed the watch really, because you can, especially if you've got sausage fingers like me, it's quite hard to.
Well, I did actually, apart from having seen yours, I saw one, because I had a crazy, stupid week. I mean, I'm talking to you, so you know exactly what it's like. There was a video I made a couple of weekends ago, which was about the studio display, but I wanted to get just a 10-second shot, if that, of the Pro Display XDR, which of course I haven't got one here. I haven't got that spare 5-6 grand kicking about. So I thought, I was going to, first of all, I went to the nearest Apple store to me is in a place called Kingston, not too far away from where I live. So I thought, I'll go to the Apple store there. I got there and the lovely lady said, we're not premium, so we don't have them here. I thought, okay, didn't phone before I got there. So I was already out and I thought, okay, I'm going to drive up to Westfield, which is in Shepherd's Bush. Only another hour down the road. And at this point, I think my other half was about to kill me. But I said, no, let's go to Westfield. It'd be lovely. We can have a glass of champagne there. And we'll just sit down. I tried to dress it up. And they did have one there. And while I was there, not only the Pro Display, a beautiful item to look at, but equally, I had a look at the Watch Ultra and sort of picked up and had a good look at it. And the screen on it is really, really gorgeous. I think that's one of the things that probably convinced me to move over.
It's very durable as well. I mean, I've had it for since launch, and it's not a single scratch on it, not even micro scratches. I actually bought, as soon as I bought the phone, the watch, I bought the kind of some of these Amazon ones, screen protectors.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Really don't need it. It's just it's been really good. And I do knock it sometimes. brushing past doors and getting into cars. Sometimes you do hit it, and I look at it. Oh my gosh, I scratched it, but there's absolutely nothing on it. Really
funnily enough, you talk about scratches. That's one of the points I've made in the video about the iPhone, because these phones, these all the 14 range have got the sapphire. It's got a name, hasn't it? The glass front on it. It's meant to
Sapphire
be.
crystal or something. Oh no,
Yeah.
the front.
Yeah, it's got a particular
Yeah.
brand name to it. I forget what it's called, but anyway, it's supposed to be virtually indestructible. Within a couple of
Ceramic
days,
shield, isn't it?
ceramic shield. There you go.
Yeah.
Within a couple, I don't use screen protectors. I don't use case. I never have done, so it's nothing different. And suddenly, that got. And funnily enough, I was watching one of Patrick's videos a few months back, and he said exactly the same about his phone. So I think there's an issue with the glasses because they shouldn't be getting scratched. And it's not done anything hard. I mean, luckily my watch that hasn't got scratched yet. Did you find that with your 14 Pro Max before you got rid of it?
Not really. Where the lightning port is, if I look at it, there's some tiny sort of micro scratches in it, but nothing on the back or the camera module. I mean, I do look after them quite well. The iPhone is always in a case. Unlike my Fold, the Fold I actually use it naked. But
how does the Fold? How long have you been had the Fold for now? Good few months, haven't you?
September, last year. So
is the actual crease on it lasting up okay? There's durability there is not an issue.
Absolutely, no issue. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. Oh, it's just it's a lovely display. There's nothing on it, and actually, I made a mistake of removing the screen protector. That is Samsung includes a screen protector on the phone. I thought it was just one of those plastic
sorry, you're
things.
talking to an Apple person. Somebody, they include things.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't come with a charger. No, it doesn't come with a charger. Yeah, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is really hard to remove. Maybe I'm not meant to. And my comment section was like, oh no, you removed the thing.
You should have done that.
So now I'm extra careful with it, and I'm constantly wiping, cleaning, making sure that there's no debris on it. But it's a lovely phone. I mean, it's a smaller device when it's folded. It's actually
have you got the other Samsung nearby with you as well for comparison? Was it nearby?
Where is that's also here. That's in a case right now. That's the S23.
Just hold them up side by side for us.
So there you go.
Right. Okay. And the thickness of when they're folded. Presumably, when it's folded, it's a lot thicker.
Yeah. So
can
you hear that?
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's not. I wouldn't say it's double the thickness, though, is it?
No, it's not. It's deceptively, and I made this point in my review. It's actually very ergonomic to hold, even though it is a bit of a thicker slab, but it's just a bit smaller and narrower, so it feels better in the hand.
What about what's in the pocket? Is it so when it's sitting in your pocket? Does it feel really chunky and awkward? Or
I'm used to having bulk in my pocket.
Hey, there we go. Hey. He's flexing. No,
it's definitely bulky. Not the most comfortable. To be honest with you, if I'm going on like a dog walk or just going for a walk, I don't usually take the Fold with me because if it does feel like if it does fall without a case, especially, it will smash. So I'm like very careful.
Now it's been a tiny little momentous week for me. You and I were chatting yesterday about things and general and stuff, and Alex has been fantastic to me recently in sort of trying to help me out and point me in the right ways and things that you've learned down the journey. And
problem shared is a problem solved, right?
Absolutely that, yeah. And I like to make my problems your problems, basically. I like to get them off of my desk and say, have my pile of crap and see if you can sort it out for me. So I've been like a dog with a bone and a broken record for the last, I don't know how long. I'm going to get to 1,000. I'm going to finally this week after September 2021 I started. I finally got it. It feels good.
Milestone.
It does feel good.
I've always thought that was the hardest one to get. I remember having 50 subscribers and going, oh my God, when I'm going to get 1,000, it just takes forever.
It really does. And I was so misguided. I kind of came into this thinking it'd be really easy. I thought, okay, make a decent video. It'll just take care, and it doesn't. And I thought what we talked about today, because I know I see a lot of the tweets and people are actually interested in YouTube as it works, not just what they watch. And I know I love listening to podcasts about that as well. So I thought we'd sort of cover, because you've got more knowledge, and I can come in with the kind of the newbie side of it that I'm finding this week. So if anyone is in the position that I'm in where you started the channel and you're getting to that first 1,000, what happens is you then apply for AdSense, which is where we make a couple of quid off the adverts that they put on the videos. And there's this kind of 3 stages where you first of all terms and conditions, and then it's apply. And I'm just at the application stage at the moment. So I'm now waiting for Google to send me I think it's actually a physical letter that they send me in the post or something. Yeah. Which I can't understand from a digital firm, but anyway. So I'm kind of at that stage now. and it can take up to a month apparently. But I know you, and I was watching some other videos.
A few
They say,
days, yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of at that stage at the moment. But it's after that that things begin to kind of get a little bit more serious, isn't it? And
Mm.
we began yesterday looking into the YouTube studio, which is what all creators kind of live in and watch. And you helped me along the way of trying to understand a little bit more of the metrics that you really need to be aware of looking at. Now, there was something, maybe if we
Mhm.
start with this conversion rate, because I didn't understand until I was chatting to you yesterday about how important it
Mhm.
is to keep an eye on the subscription conversion rate per video. But that's actually quite a good metric to be looking at how you're
Yeah,
putting your videos over, isn't it? What do you expect
yeah.
of yours then, if you can?
So a rule of thumb that I use, and I know a lot of creators use as well, is to have, for 1,000 views, you'd expect 10 subscribers to
Right.
subscribe, because of those 1,000 views, especially if it's a video that is popular and everyone kind of is talking about, is not off topic. If it's off topic, like the one I uploaded yesterday, you're not gonna get that. I mean, I didn't.
Mm.
It tanked, and not many people are subscribing to it because it's just YouTube is not really pushing it to a wider audience. They
Mm.
only do that when your existing audience
Is
watches the
liking
video
it and
for
watching it.
long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So a video that's tanking, you're not gonna get that. But for a decent video, for kind of my average, if I call it a success when I get 10 subs per 1,000 views. So okay,
Right.
that's a decent amount. That's a good ratio of conversion for me anyway. And a lot of creators take that as a bit of a rule of thumb. If I'm getting 10 subs per 1,000, that's good. But uh, great videos, sometimes you get 20, 30 subs per 1,000. And that's when is one of those unicorns for me anyway.
Yeah.
Don't happen a lot, maybe 3 times in the last year. I
And
got a
sometimes, of
couple of
course, those
those.
percentages can dip as the numbers get higher. So do you find, I mean, a lot of your videos now have done 25, 45,000
No,
views. Are you
they
still
they
finding that
they stay
that
quite. They stay, yeah. So 100,000 views. When you get to 100,000, you get 1,000. Was that subs? 100,000. Yeah, 1,000
yeah,
subs.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that's a decent video, and it doesn't dip. What does go starts to go lower is the CTR because
Right. So, okay,
uh,
let's
the,
pull back that CTR. That's a click through,
yeah,
yeah?
the click through rates. Yeah, so that one is how many times people are being shown an impression,
Mm-hmm.
and they're clicking through the video, right? So that is the more impressions you get, the less people click on it because they're not, that means YouTube is pushing it really wide, sometimes outside of your typical audience. So they're trying to find another niche that people might be interested in because they're going, oh, hang on, people are really liking this video. Let's push it out to a wider audience, and they actually say that that's the language they use in the Studio app.
And the
You
click
know,
through that's where the thumbnail comes into play, isn't it? Because you've got to put up together, that's your shop window. So you've got to put up an
title and
attractive
thumbnail. Yeah,
thumbnail. And then
yeah,
hopefully they see that on their, as they're scrolling through, then they'll click on
yeah.
your video and get into it. So what's your click through rate then? What are you looking at for that?
A good one for me, I'd say, is one that stays at around 15%. Anything above 15% CTR,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking a banger in my case. And, there is a couple that's still like 17, 18. I think my Apple Watch Ultra is really good. There's one that I don't even appear in the video, and that's like an 18% CTR, and it's a 2-minute video. But yeah, that's when, is a success for me anyway. Mostly, like yesterday's video is like 6%.
But
Um,
you kind of knew that when you were uploading it, presumably. You
I
knew that
already
wasn't,
knew it because
yeah.
it's about gaming. My channel is not about gaming, so it's always going to tank. It was always the case. But YouTube also encourages you, right, to say, look, how to grow your channel, by having these buckets of content and having other types of content that are semi-related to what you do, not completely different,
Yeah.
but that's what you will eventually get people to, oh, hang on, he's also got this thing here, and
So your advice would
another
be,
metric.
again,
Mhm.
if somebody's building a channel, say, well, let's take it outside of Apple, let's say it's on cameras, for instance, you don't
Mhm.
think that should necessarily govern that it would only ever make a video on, at some point, yes, the bulk of that for the audience needs to be about what their core interest is. But you think every now and again, if they switch it up and make a video that's something to do with file transfer from the camera or something, that makes sense.
Yeah, so look, I'm not an expert in this, and I'm still learning, right? But
Mm,
I'm a firm believer that there are multiple ways of going about growth. you can grow really quickly. And I'm pretty sure I would have grown a lot more if I focused on one brand. For example, if I say, right, my channel is all about Apple, or my channel is about Android, I think that would generate a lot more growth, a lot quicker growth. As a creator, though, I don't feel that excites me a lot. But that's just me, right? Some people actually prefer to be, to niching down, I think is the term that they use, niching down. And I'm not really, I'm not that kind of person. I started the channel not calling it Apple or Android or whatever, right? It's gear and tech, which is generic. I just love talking about tech. So that being my case, I think the way for me to grow is to, sure, talk about consumer type tech. So I can't come tomorrow and talk about something that's like a car tech. It just won't work. Or like I just did, right, with gaming tech. It's really difficult to break into a new niche. But in their camera example, I'd say, yeah, maybe talk about, if you really want to grow quickly, you can just say, right, I'm a Canon shop or a Sony shop. That will really get you, a lot big audience really quickly. But then to expand it is going to be tricky. So I'd say talk about all cameras. That's my view, right? But maybe don't talk about something that's like a drone, right? Unless you're talking about the drone camera.
Yeah,
it's kind of.
Because I'm kind of at that stage at the moment. I'm almost a bit scared because although the channel's called Talking Tech and Audio, because they're two of my passions, and particularly audio. So I have made a number of explainers and how-tos on Audition and Premiere and so on. But then I think but the more recent videos have all been on Apple. So I'm thinking, am I going to confuse the algorithm if I suddenly throw out an Adobe video? Is that a good or is that a bad thing? And that's sort of something I think people would. I don't think I'd be alone in that kind of fear.
No, and I've been there, and I think and I listen to a lot of people. Some people, you got to do a lot of filtering when you're learning, when you're growing a channel. I'm still doing that, but I do like to listen to people who've done it before and people who are successful as well. Right? If you listen to people who grew channels themselves a lot, I tend not to listen to people who haven't actually had the experience of doing
done the walk.
Yeah, it's like, hang on, you're telling me how to do things, but you haven't done it yourself. So anyway, but in that process, what I did notice there's a trend, right? That people say, right, you have to really put the work, and I think you have, to be honest. But I remember at the time thinking, I haven't actually done more than 30, 40 videos, so really I can't really expect to grow massively unless you're really lucky and you produce a video that goes viral really early, or you jump on a trend that is like, okay, you can't get on a wave, so to speak. Then you're left to experiment, and I think that's probably a good thing. To spend a year, your first couple of years, throwing things out there, learning the craft, learning what works, learning yourself how to present yourself. I mean, I'm still in that journey, but I think it did really help me a lot doing videos that were, I mean, looking at it now, I'm thinking, what the hell was I thinking? In sure. iPhone season, me talking about a GoPro, for example, I do self-analyze a lot and go, hang on, why did I do that? And the answer is, I was learning, and I don't regret it now. But being quite critical about myself, I'm thinking I should have done another video about this one that worked really well the week before. And now I do that a lot. I mean, the next two videos are videos that I can probably guarantee you will do well, because it's about a topic that's hot in the moment. It's something that viewers subscribe to recently to my channel. So as soon as they see the thumbnail, that they will go, hang on, that's another one. But yeah, I didn't do that at the beginning. At the beginning, it was very much. I did a video about a microphone as well.
I've done one of those.
My first video was about a pair of shoes on the tech channel. So
nicely done, pal. We done something right. Yeah. But I think that one of the things, fun enough, that you just briefly touched on there is, I think, because I've noticed an increase in the amount of subscribers I'm getting recently, and I think there's possibly a couple of reasons behind that. But I think one of the things is I'm starting to find my voice. And I think the video I'm making this weekend, it's iPhone based again. I'm thinking, well, who the hell is going to want to watch that? But then what I realized, and I've been told, and I think you've told me, is no one's going to say it like you say it. And that's what you've got to hope people buy into, and like hearing you talk about things. And I think I'm just beginning to find a voice.
Yeah. the you in the YouTube, a lot of people say that is,
Yeah, that's a good one.
you
Yeah.
know, it is definitely what people care about. And sometimes I use the community tab as well to say, do you care about this stuff? And people go, actually, I don't, but because it's your video, I will watch it because I
Yeah.
want to see, I want to hear your thoughts on it. And I think that's great. I think that's a great point about the platform. That there's no one out there that can talk about the stuff, you know, with your voice, with your opinion, with your jokes,
Yeah.
you know.
Your style, yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that does take time, you know, unless you're ridiculously gifted and really natural in front of a camera, to be able to sit
Mm.
down and actually talk with the people rather than talking at
It's so
the
difficult. Yeah.
lens. You know,
Yeah. Even
I
today, I
recorded.
recorded. Yeah. Let's go on, go on.
Yeah, I did a little my call to action this week. I went out in the back garden, and I was thinking, shit, the neighbours are going to be looking at me. I feel a real idiot standing here with the phone and tripod. But I thought, you know, it's just what
Yeah.
you've got to do, and we all feel it. I know we all feel that. As you know, it's easy to sit in the confines of your studio and chat. Well,
Yeah.
easier, but it's just kind of part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Even today, I mean, I live in the countryside. You've been here, right? There's not a lot of people around when I go out, but still, if I see someone walking their dog and I'm recording, immediately feel embarrassed. You know, it just doesn't go away. It does feel, I mean, I am less worried about it now, though. I will pick up the camera in a shop and I will start recording myself. My son will go absolutely like try to hide. But I don't really care, right? But it doesn't make it, it's never comfortable. I don't think, you know, it's still awkward. It took me an hour and a half earlier today to record 2 videos. That will be 10 minutes each.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, 80 gigs of file and 2 camera angles and all sorts. But for 10 minutes each, that took me almost 2 hours. You know, it's crazy.
I had that the week before last, and don't forget now I'm using a teleprompt as well, and I could not get my words out. I just couldn't read. That night, for whatever reason, I'd had a horrible day. Everything that could have gone wrong. So I sat down and wasn't in the best mood anyway, truth be told. But then all I'm doing is reading, and I just couldn't even read the words that I typed out. You know, so
it's crazy, right? It's crazy. I mean, I've got construction work right now, so I was kind of waiting. You know, I'm listening for the banging noise, and as soon as he stops, okay, there's a gap. He stopped, and I tried to get as quickly as possible, and then. But yeah, you're right. You have to be self-aware of how you're sounding as well, because if you start sounding like a robot, people will switch off and pick up on it. And I think I did all right in the end, but it does take a long time because I'm repeating myself so many times to make sure that it is as I intended it to be. Right, when I was writing it down, I needed it to sound in a certain way, natural, basically.
So if we then follow on from we were talking about click through, the other thing that you brought up to me yesterday, and it's a natural progression from there, is retention. And there's kind of almost we covered it a little bit yesterday, that there's more of an art to retention than I realised. You can't just think, you sit down in front of the camera and you start talking, but there is actually an art to trying to keep people to watch your video past the first 30 seconds, 3 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, and stay on it, right? I mean, we all do it. I do it all the time. I don't think I watch a video from beginning to end unless it's a Mr. Beast video. I mean, there's very rare few creators out there that I will kind of hold on the phone and not touch it. You know,
do you watch most of your content on the phone? That's a point, actually. Do you watch most of your content on the phone?
All the time. All the time. Yeah. So, but even the videos that I really enjoy, if there's a scene that's not changing a lot, my brain automatically goes, I've got to skip this. Or sometimes I drag the slider to see, you know, to see the little thumbnail that appears at the bottom. So, you know, is that changing at all? What's going on here? It's a bad habit, but we all do it. And I think, you know, as a creator, you know, you've got to think that, right? Am I going on for too long about this point, or is this shot on the screen for too long? Some people appreciate that, though. Some people love like a gentle approach to things, but you know, YouTube will pick up on the fact that people are skipping and use that. Right, as at the end, you get a metric that says, you know, if anywhere near 50%, like you know,
at the end,
if the video is 10 minutes, and people watched it for 50%, like they watched half of it, that's actually not a bad, you know, not a bad target. Above that, you were like, that's great. You know,
how does the metric work if somebody's watching it and then scrubs through to just before the end? Does that still count as does the retention then pick up again? Is that the way the graph would see it?
I think that there's watch time, right? The total watch time, and then there's average view duration,
right?
So there's
So
all of those things to consider.
you kind of done the do's and the don'ts with where you're at the moment. Where are you finding the magic is in that first, well, 30 seconds for starter, I know is critically important. I know we were looking at some of my graphs yesterday, but so if we talk about that first 30 seconds to start with, where are you finding you're making more wins and losses? What's your sort of take on it at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the analytics a lot, right? For every video that does well, and the ones that don't do as well, I can see where the tips are, and YouTube makes it really easy for you to understand and kind of learn from what you're doing wrong or what you should be doing more of. Like yesterday's video, even though it tanked, I noticed there was a huge spike when I said, let's have a little game ourselves. And I showed the side by side a bit of game footage between two things and got people interacting with the video. And I was like, right, I should have done more of that, because that was it was almost like I wasn't expecting to see anything on that video. So this is a proper tanker. But that bit, for that like 30 seconds, a lot of people probably paused the video, rewound it. So that got me thinking, well, for the next one that I do, I'm going to include more of that, maybe have 2 or 3 games in between early on, or just have more of it, right?
And what's your approach to to the hook? To really getting people, when you come on, I'm going to tell you I'm back, I'm Alex, I'm going to talk about BAM. What's your approach to that first sort of 15 to 30 seconds to try and get retention?
I'm so crap at it, I have to say. I'm
really not though, good clearly. At it, I mean, I don't know, your retention's going, I mean, you're holding people, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it is getting better, and I'm learning to, like I was telling you yesterday, right? I'm adding a few gaps in there as well, which serves 2 purposes. And no one told me to do this. I just learned that doing this is getting people to stay for longer, because it adds a little bit of creativity to the thing which I enjoy doing. So almost like a few more B-roll shots in there, a bit of music, and also adds adverts, right? There's gaps in there that YouTube can insert adverts into, which is good. And then I also realized that, it gives people an idea, kind of a bit of a break to digest your content. And that somehow, although it's making the videos longer, people are watching the videos for longer too. So that's more important for YouTube. YouTube wants you to keep people on the platform.
Stay there, yeah.
Right? If they jump off your video, there's a higher chance that they will probably jump off YouTube altogether. Right? So it's better to keep them watching, and adding things like, and I shared this with you, right? There was this tweet. Forgot the person who shared it.
I've got it to read.
There's a few kind of techniques that you can use in your speech or in your script writing that helps that. For example, I say this a lot, right? Which is, I discovered something amazing about the S23 Ultra. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm more specific than that in the actual video, but it's an example, right? You kind of give oh, hang on, there's something coming here. I've got to wait.
Yeah.
Or you simplify things like, the bottom line is, right? When you say something like the bottom line is, or at the end of the day, people kind of listen to those little triggers and go, hang on, I can't skip this.
Something's
coming. About to say something important.
Yeah.
So there's a few of those things that I'm still learning, but I'm injecting those in every video. And it does seem to be working. Now, obviously, using multiple angles, using good B-roll, changing the scene sometimes. People get bored, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure even listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, it's going to be tricky for people to watch the entire thing, because it's such a, it's just us talking. I mean, the fact is a conversation helps, but it's a tricky subject to keep people watching.
Of that, actually, I don't know if it's the Verge I was listening to. There's a podcast I was listening to this week, and they were talking about this whole phenomenon of podcasts now being videos. And one of the guests turned around and said, well, hold on a minute. It's basically a chat show. It's the new version of chat shows. And I thought, actually, that makes real good sense. It's the new Michael Parkinson, isn't it? It's the new Late Show. It's that kind of thing.
I watch a lot of Joe Rogan and the other guy, Lex somebody.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's a lot of comedians that are doing this as well. Lots of podcasts of comedians.
Yeah.
I sometimes don't watch it, but I put it in the background and I'm in the kitchen doing stuff or whatever. It's just there. I'm listening to it, but I'm actually listening to the video.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big feature in there, and I'm glad we're in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I really do. I look forward to these for a whole host of reasons. And, you know, my old Luddite brain still struggles with, I'm making a podcast, it's going to be a video. But that's because I come from this audio background where podcasts are podcasts. But, you know, things,
Mm.
and we know YouTube are investing a lot of money. And I think they just hired somebody recently as well to specialize in taking the whole podcast side of it, because they can see there's great chances for monetization in it, because, of course,
Oh yeah,
they tend to be very long form videos. So there's a lot of chance to get adverts in there.
that's
Um,
exactly why they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've listened to exactly what you said yesterday. So I've got a couple of gaps left in my edit where I've got some spaces now. I'm going to do some nice B-roll shots and, you know, just flower it up. But at that point because I have got premium YouTube, and again, something I realized yesterday is I need to log in from another account.
I always, yeah, I recommend everyone does it. You know, watch your video as a normal viewer. Maybe
Mm,
create an alt account. I don't know. I mean, that's what I do, just to see. Well, first of all, who's putting ads on my video, and secondly, just to spot mistakes as well. Or sometimes you watch it as a viewer, just pretend that you're someone else. Or right, I'm watching this for the first time, and I pick up on so many mistakes. You know, sometimes if I've got time, I push the video out as a unlisted, and I'll watch it.
yeah.
Um, because yeah, more often than not, I'll pick up on a misspelling, and you know, in a way, sometimes I leave them because they're like, do you know what? I like people to know that there's a human behind it, you know, as well. There's not a robot. But other times it's just embarrassing, right? 'Cause if you make a big mistake or say something wrong.
Yeah, I think that's my failing. Well, I've got a few, but one of them is I try to be too perfect, which I'm not saying in an egotistical way at all. And it was probably my fault when I was on radio as well. I like to have
Mm,
the perfect show, but then the perfect show
mm.
doesn't actually necessarily bring over your character. And with
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
being a visual medium, it's even more important that you're not too robotic. And I know you've done some of your
I
outtakes
think
and
so.
stuff. And when you have your alter ego that you're sitting talking to on the couch, all of that just breaks up and gives somebody just something different to look at and different feel
Yeah.
and vibe to the video as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to produce, right? I'd
Mm,
love if my videos that where I'm just sitting on a desk and sitting at the desk and talking, I love if those did well. But you know, the reality is, the more I inject in terms of creativity, different shots, drone shots, you know, different angles, different lenses, different sitting areas, you know, whatever it is that I do that adds to the, you know, to the dynamic of the video, is making people watch longer. So yeah, I'd rather produce less videos
yeah,
that are harder to produce, that generate
exactly.
that sort of growth and retention.
Y-
But there's no silver bullet, right? I mean, what I'm doing is still experimenting. I don't think I've got a single video where, you know, it goes beyond 60%. I think I've got one that was like 58, maybe the Apple Watch Ultra. It was really,
mhm.
really good, but nothing is like amazing viral style, like, you know, 70%. I mean, I don't even know if that exists. People watching for that long. But I mean, in shorts, that's different, right? In shorts, you
Yeah.
do want to see even more than 100%, right? You want those loops for people to watch even longer
Because
than
they're so
a minute.
digestible, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, then one of the other things you mentioned to me yesterday, which is another area I'd overlooked, was the importance of timing and scheduling
Mm.
and
Oh yeah,
having that
big
calendar
time.
looked out. And we kind of all know, certainly from, I'm not, I don't follow the Samsung area so much, but you know, with
Yeah.
Apple, apart from this year, because we don't know what the heck's going on. But I mean, generally, you
Mm.
kind of know, right, you've got the spring event, you've got WWDC and possibly two at the end of the year, and you kind
Yeah.
of know roughly what products are going to be probably launched each.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, do you almost kind of map out, right, for Samsung, I've got something coming in early Feb, and then you've got probably a good month of the buying it, unboxing it, using it, 1 month
Yeah.
later, all that
I
kind of
do
video.
now. Yeah. I do now. I mean, the first couple of years, I don't think I did that. I think it was very much, you know, throw it at the wall, see what happens.
Mm,
Which is, you know, in a way, I could have been a little bit more strategic. But I think about it now, like there was a learning period. Now I'm kind of putting what I learned into action, and you know, still not perfect, but I think, yeah, I wouldn't today put out a video about the iPhone or an iPhone accessory completely out of season like right now.
mm,
But talking about the iPhone is never out of season. You can always, you know, make content. You know, Apple products in general are usually quite good, but I've made many mistakes about talking. For example, completely went out on a limb, and I thought, well, the AR, and I think you've done exactly the same, which is funny, because I talk about the AR glasses, thinking, right, WWDC, they had the glasses in the thumbnail. This is going to happen, right? And I made a video, which, you know, it takes a lot of effort. It was a week or two producing this video, got it out, and it's like a few hundred views. Um, It's really demoralizing as a creator when that happens. But it tells you a thing. It tells you, like, you just published it at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it doesn't
another,
matter if it was an amazing video. If no one is searching for it, no. Because again, sorry to interrupt you there,
no, no,
but yeah,
no.
it's something that popped out in my head, which is really important. I forgot to mention is when you're small, and I think it's still the case for me. You're not discoverable yet. People are not expecting your video. They don't know who you are. That's the
Mm,
reality.
mm,
So a lot of your views will come from search. So you have to sometimes be very basic and very straightforward with the thumbnail and the title, because you go, right, I want my thumbnail and title to be in that first few thumbnails. And I did that with, I think, the S21 Ultra a couple of years ago, where I even screenshotted. I should have framed that, because my search results were coming above Marquez's video. So I was like, yeah, that's a win. But it takes some planning. It takes getting that right time is just very important, especially as a smaller creator. But when you grow, then YouTube pushes your video a bit more, so you're not
sure.
so reliant on search.
Yeah, I mean, I know we mentioned Peter McKinnon yesterday when we were chatting, and he makes videos. Kind of,
Watch
well, this week's
anything.
video
Yeah.
didn't even have him in it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was complete clickbait because the thumbnail clearly showed him in it, and yet he didn't even make an appearance. I don't even think it was a voiceover from him. I think it was, So, but again, that's all. He's cut his teeth. He's done his 9 yards, and he is, the huge success that he is. So people, and I'm one of them, will go and watch one of his videos just because it's him.
Exactly.
And we've all got to try and strive to get to that point, haven't we? But without sounding like I'm eulogizing at the church that is Alex, we sat down late last year, and I know, my God over there. But we were talking about, that the flat spells during the year when there's not much coming along, and you said, okay, talk to somebody about renders. One of the best sentences you've ever said, and I've come across this diamond guy, a guy called Marcus, and we're working together a lot. And funny enough, he's over in your homeland at the moment. He's got his girlfriend's family's in Brazil, and she must be so pissed off with me because he's on WhatsApp calling me 20 minutes at a time. I've just seen this. I've got this idea. When I come back,
nothing to do in Brazil, some foreign place.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than being near to Ascot and Windsor. But but again, it's given me some content there, and it's given me something, a new energy and something new to learn. And of course, I'm lucky that his big passion is AR, and he happens to be a fantastic renders artist as well. And some of those renders now have got into Mac Rumors, Frost's FPT site, Front Page Tech has put them up, Fabata, and Sam Cole's been used. So, we're making some little ripples there, but that's all down to what you said. Just don't leave any stone unturned, and be always thinking. That's the thing I found with this YouTube. It seeps into your brain so much.
It's so funny you mentioned that. Yeah. Yesterday I was having a shower and two ideas came to my head.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been struggling with a video because there's a sponsor coming up that I couldn't really find the content that would fit. And it's been bugging me for a long time. So, well, I need to write the script. I just don't have the idea.
So they're sponsoring the video. They've also got a product that you've got to mention for a 60-second lead or something.
Yeah, I've got to insert it. Yeah, it's an integration sponsor. So in a 10-minute video, I've got to talk of 90 seconds or whatever. I love the product. I use it myself. I've used it for like 6-7 years, but I just couldn't find a nice way. Because, with ads, it's tricky, right? Again, retention, you got to think about retention. As soon as you say something that doesn't fit with the video, people go, right, that's an ad, I'm skipping. Yeah, and I do that myself. Yeah. So I try as much as possible, right? If I've got time and energy, I'll try to include the ad and make the ad part of the video. So that is properly integrated.
Oh, right. So you'll lead into it kind of thing, rather than just being complete
or like Peter
shock.
McKinnon, right? He's the king of this, I think. There are many people who do it, but they will, I think, Pete has his Squarespace speed, I think.
Squarespace, yeah.
He's like, he's himself dressed differently, but he's talking about stuff that's relevant to that specific video as well. He's not completely going out on an ad read. Gerard Undone does it as well as with his some of his, what was it, story blocks, I think it is. That they do integrate really well. So I've picked up on that, and for all intents and purposes, that's really working. People are commenting, I actually enjoy the ad, which is great. But this one was bugging me because I couldn't find a way, and it's been bugging for like 2 weeks. It's like, crap, I've got to actually produce this stuff. And, had a shower, and in the shower, I was like, oh, two ideas came up. I was like,
Got it.
bloody hell, why didn't I think of that earlier? You're right, it does consume you, but in a nice way. I think
Yeah,
it's
I've found myself. I mean, I'm not sleeping well at the moment, which is partly due to this, and it's when I'm trying to think of ideas, like you just said. But then equally, the buzz you get out of solving that problem. And
mm,
okay, I'm still at the stage of finding what people want from me, but at least I feel that I've put something out that represents the best I can do at that time. And
yeah,
maybe I would have thought of an idea. Often at the moment, I'm thinking of an idea. I don't know how to do that. And half the fun is coming in, sitting in the edit and figuring out. I know, like
yeah,
you commented on the wording behind me last week. I knew I wanted to do it. I'd never done it before. So there was a lot of effing and jeffing going on. But
mm,
I kind of, and I think it was effective. It just broke the screen up again. You immediately picked up on it, which shows that it
mm.
was doing its job. And that's part of the buzz you get. Just because, as you say, it's
Oh,
easy to sit and
everyone,
just,
trust me, everyone picks up on it. A few people will say something, but everyone picks up on it because they go, oh, that's different.
different.
They'll
Yeah.
definitely pick up. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the buzz that I'm finding at the moment. Just trying to, it's this creative journey of finding out what you can do and what your voice is. It really does begin to come down to, doesn't it? Just being
yeah.
you and finding
And
your
sometimes
style.
it's about, you know, just kill a few darlings, right? And I've had this. Sometimes you're really proud of what you created, but if you're really hard on yourself, and then I do that all the time. I end up deleting 5 minutes every video sometimes, because I
Mm,
know even when I'm recording, go this, I just need to say it because saying this will probably trigger another idea, but
mm,
I already know that that's not going to go on the video on the final product. But yeah,
mm.
kill a few darlings, and sometimes you've got to be quite and I haven't done it in the past. I've done videos that was like 15 minutes long, and I knew that the video could have been 4 minutes. And I'm just literally rambling about the same point over and again. It's like,
Well,
I wouldn't do that again. But yeah, it has happened.
the other problem we've got is, of course, we're our own editors. We've got nobody reining us in. So it's easy
Mm,
for either ego to take over or think we're being very clever and artistic. In actual fact, you just said it's like, no, cut it
yeah.
there. That's just a
I,
filler. That's rubbish.
so
Just
many videos I overused green screen. I had like wolves coming into my bedroom from a green screen and stuff like that. It's like no one cares, especially when it was like less than 1,000 subscribers. I feel great by saying I
yeah,
produced this. This is amazing. Look at this. But
yeah.
no one gives a crap because they're not really. I mean, no one knows who you are. No one is searching for your content.
No, and equally, when you
Um,
find something new you can do, like the wording
yeah,
behind, you think, right, don't overuse it. I took so much
mm,
out last week because I realized I was like the kid with the new toy. I knew how to do it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to put it everywhere, or
yeah.
video.
I think
And you can't do
I
it.
think it's great to learn and kind of go through the learning process of doing it.
Mm,
But then, yeah, it's like how do you make it that is not going to, it has to be sustainable. I'm saying this, and as I'm saying this, I go, yeah, but you don't listen to that yourself, do you? Um,
But
yeah, because
that's the great thing of having these chats. You know, other people, I'm sure, I've got a feeling this will go down quite well because a lot of people are that listen to this podcast are in wanting to get into the game, in the game,
yeah,
thinking about what to do. And, you know, we're coming at it from different levels, but with the same collective ideas. And I think, you know,
yeah,
it is this journey thing that people talk about. It's not
yeah,
undoable, but and equally the other truism I found, and I know it sounds ridiculously simple to say, the more effort you put in, the more you give in your video, the more feedback,
absolutely.
subscribers
It,
you'll get. And it
yeah,
sounds so simple,
yeah,
but as you just said, I think we're both at the point now feeling we can do one good video a week. And that's the point. If you actually deliver something that's reasonably entertaining and just, you know that you've done your best for that week in giving something
yeah.
new, that's got to be a
I
tick.
know that. Yeah, I know that I've produced. I think it was mid-Feb. I produced probably the best video I've ever produced.
Which one was
No
that?
joke, so the S23 Ultra versus the 14 Pro Max.
Right.
Um, I spent, I think it was, in total about 2 weeks getting it from, end to end. Uh, but I can't do that every time. And
Mm.
but because you've done it and you know how successful it is, it's nearly 100K now.
Wow. Wow.
You're so tempted to kind of keep repeating, chasing that dragon, right? But it is, from a health perspective, you're just going to, really wear yourself out quite quickly. So you've got to choose your moments. I'd say, then pace yourself. If you're full time content creator, then of course all in. But in our case, while we're doing other jobs and
Mm.
running other businesses, being a dad, being a husband,
Husband, dad, yeah.
it's quite tricky to do that because you end up just not being present, and that's not where you want to be.
And of course, something I'm about to understand is the whole placing of ads and so on. So again, let's just
Mm.
get your knowledge set on it. When I was
It's
looking in
another
studio,
dark art as well. Yeah.
like yeah, so I obviously it's not quite there for me. I'm still at the approval stage, but I noticed there was this whole screen where you can place adverts. You know, you can have them pre-roll, mid-roll, overlays. Do you decide where the adverts go in your videos then, or is that
You
YouTube?
can. You can. So, when I said earlier about leaving some gaps for music and this kind of, I call it music interludes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's nothing but an opportunity for YouTube automatically to place an ad in there. There's a natural break in the speech. There's a switch of subjects. So I'm talking about the design, then I'm moving over to talk about the cameras, for example. Then there's a natural gap in there for people to kind of have a breather, 5 seconds, and YouTube will use that gap automatically. So I'm using that for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but YouTube, I can't trust YouTube. You know, after you upload, you can go back and go and see where YouTube placed the ads. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can manually say, "Hang on, no, I'm still kind of mid sentence here.
Oh,
Don't
you
place
can
the ad there." You
reposition it
know,
slightly, can you?
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I think that's really good because again, from a retention perspective, just having an ad in the wrong place could actually drive people
Yeah,
away,
could
right? Because
kill it.
oh
Yeah,
god, because as a someone watching, they'll probably think that it's your fault, you know, even
mm.
though YouTube said, no, I'm going to put the ad here in this
Absolutely.
mid
Yeah.
sentence, random place. You know, they really do that sometimes.
So when you're in the studio, then you decide if you want pre-roll or do you, or mid-roll kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is where, again, at the beginning, I was really, really conscious of this because I felt really bad for using ads in my
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
And I felt even worse when the video had a product that was given to me or the video was sponsored. Now I don't feel as bad because I realized that, you know, what we're doing is we're actually producing something like that would cost companies thousands to do it, right? And we're doing
Mm.
that week in, week out.
Mm.
So I no longer feel bad because viewers kind of understand that, most of them anyway.
Mm.
And yeah, so it puts things into perspective when you realize that, yeah, hang on, we're actually providing a service. So I think it's fair to say I'm going to put a couple of ads in here. A lot of people abuse that though and put like 10 ads in a
Do you
video. It's
choose
like,
how
oh,
many
yeah,
ads go in then? Oh, you
put as
do?
many as you want. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
really?
if it's like an hour long, I'll probably put 5 or 6, maybe even more. But yeah, you could put quite a
I
few.
did not know that. I
Yeah.
just thought you would say where you want the ad, and then YouTube would just decide, right, we're running 2 ads on this video.
Yeah, no, you can put loads. I mean, it's. I think it depends, right? If you're really popular, if you're a really kind of cool, creative, popular person, and you know people watch your video anyway, it's probably a less risky approach. For me, it's not the case. You know, it's like I'm trying to focus on delivering good content
Mm-hmm.
and placing a couple of ads here and there is not going to be the end of the world. But if I say in a 10-minute video, place 8 ads in there, you know, people might think,
Clearly, the
oh, what are
create.
you doing?
I'm saying clearly. I'm certain the creator doesn't get to choose what ads are run on his video. No,
No,
you're just
no,
leaving
that you can't.
places that YouTube would decide. Right, that's where he wants us to put them.
Yeah, and obviously that will have a huge impact in your earnings. But I see AdSense as a bonus. I expect zero every month. I said that's money that is zero. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if it comes in, great, and it's always coming. Since I've been monetized, it's always been decent.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really count on it. It's just one of those things.
Your brand association,
It's extra.
sponsorships. That's where you can rely on that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not fully, yeah, right? Because otherwise, I'll be a full-time content creator. It's probably where most of my earnings will be, in like affiliates and commissions and things like that. Yeah, sponsorships.
What's the Amazon affiliate like for you? Is that any good? Do you find people do click on products and buy through?
It hasn't been good for me until recently. There is one video about SSDs that I did.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Patrick did one as well a couple of years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one. I don't know when it was, but it completely backfired. Then I did it. So I'm going to try this again just to see what happens. And immediately, like it wasn't. It's like, oh, it failed again. But it out of nowhere, it picked up and is now every single day. There's 3,000-4,000 views on it, and
Really?
lots of
And
people
people are
clicking
clicking on
on
the
the
links.
links.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's kind of what you want. That retention is good. people are finding it useful. They're clicking through the links. So that's all signals, right, to YouTube to keep pushing the video. So I think that's probably my first evergreen content. Maybe the second, there's an AirTag one that randomly, I don't want people to watch that. It's an embarrassing video, but somehow YouTube keeps pushing
I
it.
won't leave a link to it in the podcast then.
No, it's cringe. But it's one of those where it's like, I don't want people to see that one. But there's so many videos that I think are good that YouTube could be pushing, and it's like, decide on the AirTag one? Come on.
And is there an ideal length, too short or too long? Is a 4-minute video too short? Is a 20-minute video too long? Do you find as a sort of
that changed,
purple patch?
Well, I say, yeah, that has changed recently. I say 2-3 years ago. Used to be 10 minutes, I think. The sweet spot now is 8 minutes, because YouTube at the moment, that's the length. I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
That if you make it less than 8 minutes, YouTube will find it hard to place ads in it, and therefore, it won't push it. As there's 2 videos, like one from you, one from another creator, the same size as you, and theirs is slightly longer, more than 8 minutes, and yours is shorter. Then they'll push the other one.
So you sort of try and shoot around that 8-minute mark.
Yeah, 8 to 10. I'm actually not limiting myself to, because I used to go 8 and maybe max 10, thinking that that's probably a good thing, because you don't want people to make like a 12 minutes and people only watch it for 3-4 minutes. Now I'm thinking differently. I'm thinking I'm going to go for 15 minutes. And if they watch more than 5 minutes, I don't care so much anymore, because that 5 minutes is actually a good total watch time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more opportunities in there for them to go into another one of your videos, because you keep mentioning, I've reviewed this before in this one. I talk about this in more detail on this video here. There's more opportunity when you go to 15 minutes. To me, anyway, feels like there's more opportunity to push more of your stuff in there. It's harder, right? Because you got to find 3,000 words probably.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the word count now. I know when it's normally on a Sunday, I sit and type out the script. I know at the moment I'm around about 1,800 to 2,002, something like that.
1,800 is minimum. You can drag
2.5 is
1,800 to 10 minutes, but it's got to be tricky. 2,000, it's what I would shoot for minimum. If I go to 2,000 words, okay, great. Now I can just tidy up my script.
It was. I mean, because the other side to my life is writing, and that's monetized quicker for me than this. And I had one story out of nowhere that's got just under 20,000 reads, and and it's earned me good money. It really has.
Yeah. Last
month was my best month on Medium by a long stretch for one story, and it was basically about Apple keeping jobs and the way they're going about it. I happened to write another one very similar to it yesterday, because they're changing the way they pay their bonuses out to the senior management. It's not now twice a year; they're only doing it once a year, and it's caused a bit of disquiet. So there's a good story in that. But equally today, I was only mentioning Medium because I did that famous thing today. I felt slightly dirty. I was scratching around for ideas, so I just repurposed content. It was a script from the video that's coming out this weekend that I just dressed up and packed up differently for a blog.
Articles on Medium are videos. I mean, all of them. But the thing is, I made a mistake of thinking that at the very beginning, my maybe 6-7 videos, I thought they are all going to start as an article, and I did that, and I uploaded it to my blog on my website, and then to Medium. But it's just, as someone who's not running YouTube full time, it's just not sustainable, because you think, and I thought this, that it would be easy to just transform the script for a video into an article, but it's so hard, because the way you write for a video is trying as much as possible anyway to sound natural, to sound conversational, to ask questions. In an article, you can do that, but the words don't make sense when you're reading. You sound like a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Well, I thought, getting into the studio this morning, I thought, this is going to be quick, because I'm basically just going to butcher that script and I'll have it done quickly. Still, and generally my blogs take me about 3.5 hours every day. I'm generally writing by about 9, and it's always
a
12
of time,
because you have to read, research, fact check, proofread. It just takes time.
Put in links as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to making the article look nice as well. So I add pictures. I use pictures from the video later.
Yeah.
So I love doing it. I'm passionate about writing and publishing articles, but
it's time.
It
does. I mean, I make that a priority because obviously that is paying me. So that's the thing I do first every day.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
Friday, it's my regular Apple Views. It's basically the week roundup of what's been going on with Apple that week. So I'm busy all during the week, saving stories, bookmarking things on Twitter, finding content for it. But yeah, I mean, writing, I came into this just wanting all to, there's no way I'm ever think I'm going to get rich out of this. I just want it to cover some bills. And writing's beginning to do that. And hopefully now I've had a couple of, we were talking about Newer, the photography people yesterday. They're not paying me, but they're at least sending me some more stuff. It's already in the post today. And they give me an
That's how you
affiliate link.
start. Yeah. That's how those things open doors, right? Because once you
Yeah.
review something that's from a brand that's, semi reputable, people will go, hang on, yeah, I can maybe send my product to you and, and go
Jeez,
from there.
again,
So yeah, it does.
it's because of you, isn't it? Because when I was up with you, you had that broken, I've gone
The slider, wasn't it?
slider, yeah,
Was it the
broken
slider?
slider, yeah, and I bought it
Yeah.
back, and I phoned them saying, "Can I have a battery for it?" And from that's where it all started. So
There you
again,
go.
I pray to you, Alex. I pray to you. So
No,
anyway,
but yeah, it's all, yeah, we all get, I mean, there's so many people that helped me as well. I mean, even right now, there's Pete Matheson, who's an amazing creator here in the UK. He's
we need to get him on, don't we?
out of nowhere kind of decided to share some stuff and is helping me out, and it's great, right? So
Do you think we can get him on?
what?
Can you drop him a
Absolutely,
line?
yeah. He'll be
Oh, let's see if
awesome.
we can get him on
Yeah.
next time around, shall we? So
Yeah.
I think this has been. I think there's a lot to unpack in this. I think we've given out some good info from both sides of the fence here. So probably a good enough time to begin to wrap it up. So you said you've got 2 videos coming out over the weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I batch recorded today. I hate
Okay.
when I do it because it
Did you
does
change shirt?
take a lot.
Do you look different?
No, no. Not even the lighting. Not even, I mean, the thing is, the subject is the same as well. And I was on a roll. It's
Yeah.
like boom, boom, boom. Recorded. Oh, I say on a roll. It took me an hour and a half. But yeah, it's going to be the S23 Ultra.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise. I have actually switched. I have sold my iPhone 14 Pro Max.
Is that the title you're giving us there? I've actually switched.
It's going to be something around that, yeah. And then the other one was going to be, okay, now what? Which is about apps for the S23 Ultra.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the painful experience that is actually, when you properly switch, there's a lot from the ecosystem that you perhaps didn't know you needed or forgot that you needed, or
Oh, so that's
yeah.
what that video is about. Sort of helping hand. If you've made the switch, here's what you need to do and place you can find things.
Yeah, and there's some hidden stuff within the S23 Ultra that iPhone users, especially someone like me who use Apple all the time, or users who are getting into an Android device for the first time. Yeah, there's quite a lot in there that you don't realize that you've got. Because you think, oh, it's just a phone, but there's a lot in there, and we've been, in my opinion, anyway, been blinded by Apple and maybe not seeing what's out there in terms of innovation and multitasking, for example.
I'll have to borrow an Android from you. I'll have to bring one back and run it for a month and see how I get on with it.
I think it's good to keep an open mind, if nothing else, to when you're reviewing your Apple products, to at least know what's out there in terms of competition. I think it makes you a more rounded creator.
Well, one of your Samsungs does make its way into my thumbnail. I spent time this morning creating a thumbnail, and you sent me some B-roll and some images yesterday to use.
There you go.
And I've managed to butcher out one of your Samsungs, so it's sitting proudly in my thumbnail at the moment. So there you go. Right. Well, I guess
What's your video then?
My video is why I'm sticking with it, and I do actually tell a story. I do get to the end and say I haven't forgotten. This is why
I'm not switching.
Exactly that. Yeah. So I think my title is going to be. I'm trying to think.
Click on that very quickly. That's a great title.
I can't remember what the thumbnail is. It says something. I think the thumbnail is why change, and I've got
Is it you wearing like a sheep costume or something? just
you've got a dark and dirty side to you, fella. I don't like the sound of that at all. If you're thinking of me in a sheep's costume,
yeah.
But no. So I've got 2 phones stacked up there. And so that's what I'm doing this week about why I won't change. And future videos, I think I'm going to do not a studio tour as such, but because Newer is sending me some more stuff, I'm going to be doing a little bit of. I'm worried that I know it won't do well, but equally I need to show what I'm using of theirs, and I do use. I mean, I've got stuff around me now, tripods, lights. And they're sending me a lovely big 150 light and a softbox. That's what they're sending me this week.
Oh that's all good.
So
stuff.
I've got a much better light coming because obviously it's going to diffuse the light better and everything will just look a bit smooth and sharper. So so that's the video. Sort of, I don't know how you go about it. I sort of have this workflow that I shoot one day, B-roll the next day, then I basically do the very coarse edit of getting all the crap cut out and clipped together. And today I've been adding in the B-roll. And then it'd be sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll begin to do all the nice bits, color it up, put the transitions in, all the nice fancy bits.
Yeah, that's how I normally plan. I say, kind of script at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Try to record it by Wednesday if I can. Today, that was like today.
Yeah.
And then
it's a mad rush.
It's a mad rush. Yeah. To kind of to kind of get the video out by Saturday. And it usually ends up me on a Friday night, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Kind of, oh shit, I forgot the thumbnail.
Yeah, well, again, the podcast always throw, because obviously tomorrow it'll be writing first, then it'll take me 2 to 3 hours just to get this tidied up for the audio and the video.
Yeah.
And I try and do those two things first. And then after that, I can get back into editing. But I want to get this out for the weekend, for Saturday at some point. What time should we put it up? What time should we put the podcast up? Go and tell me. What do you reckon? You tell me.
I think morning. I mean, it really depends. Actually, I don't know, because I haven't looked at the data of where people are coming from. But I'd say if it's
more UK,
it's more UK, then I'd say morning, because people
mid-morning. Should we go for about 11ish?
Yeah. I think that's a good time. I mean, if you're going out for a run, you might be just watching around the house. It's probably a good time.
If you're watching this shortly after 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, do let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
what time do you want? What time would you like it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, possibly with Pete then. I'll give you a nudge to remind you.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him, yeah.
Perfect. And I hope your wife is all sorted out with her business as well, because I know you're running around trying to sort out things for her. Yeah. And I hope you have a brilliant weekend with your son on his 11th birthday.
Thank you. You Alex, too. Have a good one.
Fantastic, mate. See you soon. Cheers. See you.
Bye.